My name is Clara Bennett, and what I'm about to share with you is my personal near-death experience testimony. It's the story of what happened when Jesus revealed to me the real reason why so many of his chosen ones face financial struggles. On February 3, 2024, at exactly 2:47 a.m., I passed away for 9 minutes and 12 seconds during what was supposed to be a routine surgery. I've waited nearly 2 years to tell this story, spending countless hours in prayer, making sure I could share every detail as clearly as possible. Even now, my hands still tremble as I speak, overwhelmed by the weight of what I witnessed. But Jesus made it very clear to me, the time is short, and this message must reach his people, especially those who wonder why, despite their faithfulness, they still face constant financial struggles. Before we dive in, I'd love to know where you're listening from. It's a small way for us to feel connected, even though we may be far apart. And while you're here, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to this channel so you won't miss more powerful testimonies like this one. Let's have an open, honest discussion so we can all learn together. Enjoy listening. I was 42 years old when this happened, working as a pediatric nurse at Minneapolis Children's Hospital. I've been a believer since childhood, raised in a Christian home where I learned to trust God through every circumstance. But despite my faith, my consistent tithing, and my effort to live a godly life, I'd struggled financially for years as a single mother raising 2 children on my own. 3 years earlier, my husband had left us, and I was left to handle mounting debts and constant financial pressure on my own. That February night began with what doctors later called acute appendicitis. The pain had been building all day during my hospital shift, but like many nurses, I ignored it, putting everyone else before myself. By the time I finally admitted I needed help, my appendix had ruptured, and a serious infection had spread throughout my body. The last thing I remember before going under anesthesia was praying, "Lord, please watch over my children." I had no idea that this simple prayer would lead me into the most profound experience of my life. What happened next is difficult to put into words, but I've been told to try. The moment my heart stopped on the operating table, I felt my spirit lift away from my body. It wasn't frightening or painful. Instead, it felt like being gently lifted out of a calm pool of water. I could see the medical team below, working frantically as alarms screamed, but all I felt was perfect, complete peace. Then came the light, and calling it just light almost doesn't do it justice. It wasn't just brightness, it was living love, pure truth, more real than anything I had experienced in my physical life. As I moved closer to it, I became aware of every moment of my life, every choice I had ever made, all existing at once in what I can only describe as eternal now. Then I heard my name spoken with such love that it seemed to reshape my very being. Clara. I turned, not with my physical body, but in my spirit, and found myself in the presence of Jesus Christ. Let me be clear, this wasn't the Jesus we see in Sunday school books or in movies. His presence was both overwhelmingly powerful and deeply comforting at the same time. His eyes held wisdom deeper than the universe itself, yet looked at me with such personal love that I felt completely known, completely accepted. The scars on his hands glowed with a light that told the story of all redemption in a single moment. "My daughter," he said, "I have brought you here because you, like many of my chosen ones, have been asking why you face persistent financial struggles while others prosper easily. Today, you will understand." With that, the space around us changed. We were suddenly in a realm where time and eternity intersected, where spiritual truths became visible realities. Jesus began to show me truths about financial struggles that would change my understanding forever, and I pray will change yours too. "Watch," he said, gesturing to what appeared to be living scenes unfolding before us. "I will show you why my chosen ones often go through seasons of financial hardship." What he revealed next was so profound and detailed that I must share it carefully, without skipping anything. Each truth built upon the next, creating a tapestry of divine wisdom that answered questions that had haunted me, and I know haunt many of you, for years. The first scene Jesus showed me was both beautiful and heartbreaking. I saw countless believers, people I knew were faithful, kneeling in prayer, tears streaming down their faces as they begged God for financial breakthrough. Their bills were piled high, their bank accounts nearly empty, and their hearts heavy with constant lack. "Watch closely," Jesus said. I'm going to show you what really happens in the spiritual realm when my chosen ones struggle financially. Suddenly, I could see both the physical and spiritual realms at the same time. Above each struggling believer, I saw a protective shield of light. Jesus explained, this shield, which often appears as financial limitation, is actually his protection. Many pray for wealth without realizing that premature abundance could destroy their souls. He waved his hand, and I saw possible futures that would have happened if these believers had received the financial blessings they were praying for. The scenes were devastating. I saw humble servants of God transformed by sudden wealth into proud, self-reliant people who stopped praying, stopped serving, and eventually drifted away from their God-given purposes. Clara, Jesus said, some of my most precious children curse the very thing that is protecting them. They don't understand that I am shielding them from destruction. He showed me how material wealth can become an invisible barrier between people and God. I watched as previously faithful believers received financial blessings they weren't spiritually ready to handle. Their prayers became shorter, their church attendance less consistent, and their hearts hardened as they started trusting their bank accounts more than God. This is why I allow my chosen ones to experience seasons of financial struggle, Jesus explained. It's not punishment, it's protection and preparation. Then he showed me something that made me gasp. He revealed the spiritual warfare happening in the unseen realm. I saw dark entities specifically targeting God's chosen ones with financial attacks. These forces knew who carried God's anointing and tried to block them, hoping to discourage and defeat them. The enemy knows who carries my greatest assignments, Jesus said. Financial warfare is often a sign of spiritual significance. Many don't realize that their financial struggles confirm their calling. Jesus guided me through scene after scene, each revealing different aspects of why chosen ones face financial hardship. I saw how struggles strip away false security and force total dependence on God. Every unpaid bill, every crisis, was an opportunity for God to prove his faithfulness. Remember the Israelites in the wilderness, he said. I provided manna daily, not yearly. Not because I couldn't provide, but because I was teaching daily dependence on me. Many of my children today are in their own wilderness experience, learning the same lesson. Then Jesus showed me something that brought me to my knees, even though I wasn't in my physical body. He revealed how financial struggles often protect us from toxic relationships and destructive opportunities that could derail our divine purpose. He showed me my own life, business opportunities I had missed because I lacked funds, but if I had had the money, those opportunities would have led me away from my true calling. What seemed like God withholding was actually his protection. Daughter, he said, placing his hand on my shoulder, your poverty is temporary, but its purpose is eternal. I am not punishing you, I am preparing you. Every bill you struggle to pay, every time you must trust me for provision, is shaping you for your kingdom assignment. He then showed me how financial struggles act as a refiner's fire, burning away impurities in our character that would make us unfit for his purposes. I saw how seasons of lack expose hidden motives, reveal secret idols, and test our faithfulness. Many pray for prosperity, Jesus said, but character must come first. I will not release wealth that could destroy my children's souls. Then he revealed something that shocked me. The spiritual power of contentment during lack. I saw believers who remained joyful and trusting in God during financial hardship actually building spiritual wealth far more valuable than earthly riches. Watch this carefully, Jesus said, showing me scenes of believers living in material poverty but overflowing with spiritual abundance. Their prayers were strong, their faith unshakable, and their impact on others profound. These are my true prosperity pioneers. They've learned to be content in every circumstance, making them unstoppable in my kingdom. Finally, Jesus showed me something that made me weep with understanding, the generational aspect of financial struggles. In an instant, I saw entire family lines, stretching back through time, including my own. Look closely, he instructed. Many of my chosen ones are here to break generational cycles of poverty. I saw patterns of financial struggle and mismanagement passed down through generations, like dark spiritual inheritances. But I also saw the beauty of God's plan. He positions certain believers to break these cycles, bringing hope and change for generations to come. You're not just fighting for yourself, Jesus explained gently. You're battling for your children, your grandchildren, and the generations that will come after you. Through you, I am establishing new patterns of financial wisdom and spiritual strength that will bless your descendants long after you're gone. Then he showed me something that made me cry. I saw how my financial struggles weren't just random hardships, they were actually breaking the chains that had held my family captive for generations. I saw my grandfather's gambling addiction, my father's lifelong debt, and then, beautifully, how my own financial challenges, faced with faith, were literally rewriting my family's spiritual DNA. This, Jesus said, is why the enemy fights so fiercely against your financial breakthrough. He knows that once these generational chains are broken, they're gone forever. Then Jesus showed me something that completely stunned me, the divine timing behind financial blessings. I saw how God's timing was perfectly woven together with countless other lives, not just my own. Like a master chess player, he was coordinating events and circumstances in ways far beyond human understanding. Many of my children pray for instant breakthroughs, Jesus said, not realizing that receiving blessings too soon could destroy the greater purpose I've prepared for them. Then he said, watch this. He showed me scenes where believers had forced their way into financial gain, through desperate decisions, high-interest loans, shady business deals, or by compromising their values. The results were heartbreaking. What looked like answered prayers at first quickly turned into traps, pulling them deeper into bondage and regret. My timing is perfect, Jesus said firmly. I'm not only thinking about your immediate needs. I'm protecting your ultimate destiny and the destinies of everyone connected to you. Then came a revelation that tied it all together. Jesus showed me how financial struggles often protect us from our own premature desires. I saw believers who, in their desperation for breakthrough, would have made choices that destroyed their divine assignments if they had the money to do so. Clara, Jesus said, some of my children aren't blessed financially yet because they would build their own kingdoms instead of mine. I'm waiting until their hearts are completely surrendered. Then he showed me scenes from my own life, moments when I had prayed so hard for financial relief. And with complete clarity, I saw how, if those prayers had been answered my way, I would have missed divine appointments, lost growth opportunities, and stepped off the path God had prepared for me. Your struggles are not punishment, Jesus emphasized. They are preparation for the kind of authority and responsibility that require deep spiritual maturity to handle. Then he revealed something about spiritual warfare that I had never understood before. He showed me how the enemy specifically targets believers who carry powerful kingdom assignments through financial attacks. Watch carefully, he said. Before me, I saw the spiritual realm, demons intentionally creating financial blockages for believers who were about to step into great ministry opportunities. These weren't random obstacles. They were strategic, carefully designed to discourage and distract God's chosen ones. But here's what my children often miss, Jesus continued. These attacks are actually confirmation of their calling. The enemy doesn't waste his effort fighting those who pose no threat to his kingdom. Then Jesus showed me something that pierced my heart, how financial struggles can act as a divine filter, revealing who truly loves God for who he is, not just for what he can provide. I saw believers being tested to prove the authenticity of their faith. Many claim to love me, Jesus said softly, but their love is really for my provision rather than my presence. Financial struggles expose the true condition of the heart. Then he showed me another powerful truth that brought everything into focus, how financial limitation keeps believers dependent on God. I saw people who, after receiving abundance, slowly drifted away from prayer, stopped seeking God's direction, and started trusting their own wisdom instead. This, Jesus explained, is why I often hold back financial abundance. I would rather have my children fully dependent on me than see them destroyed by self-sufficiency. As the vision continued, Jesus revealed something that completely took my breath away, the connection between financial struggles and spiritual authority. In the spiritual realm, I could see it clearly. Every financial battle faced with faith was actually building spiritual strength and power. My chosen ones often focus on what they lack, Jesus said, but they fail to see what they're gaining. Watch this. He showed me believers who stayed faithful and honest even in hard times. In the natural world, they looked like they were barely surviving, but in the spiritual realm, I saw them storing up what looked like glowing deposits of divine authority. Every bill paid through faith, every act of generosity done in lack, every moment of gratitude during struggle, all of it was building something eternal. This, Jesus explained, is why I allow many of my chosen ones to go through long seasons of financial testing. They're not just learning about money, they're learning how to carry spiritual authority without being corrupted by it. Then Jesus revealed something that changed how I saw financial struggle forever. He showed me how God often uses financial limitations to keep His chosen ones in the right place for their divine purpose. Watch what happens when I release abundance too soon, He said. And what I saw broke my heart. I watched believers who, after receiving wealth, immediately moved away from the places God had called them to serve. Some abandoned their ministry work, while others became so focused on managing their wealth that they missed their divine opportunities completely. Sometimes, Jesus said, what looks like financial bondage is actually my way of keeping my children exactly where they need to be, positioned perfectly for their purpose. Then He showed me how financial struggles often become the foundation for powerful testimonies. I saw believers who, after enduring and overcoming seasons of lack, carried a depth of wisdom and spiritual authority that no amount of formal training could ever give. Your struggles are not just about you, Jesus said with love. They're about the thousands who will be encouraged and strengthened by your testimony. Then He revealed something about spiritual maturity that filled me with awe. Jesus showed me how financial struggles act like a spiritual incubator, a place where deep spiritual roots are formed. Many of my children pray for breakthrough, He said, not realizing that their current hardships are shaping the spiritual depth they'll need for future assignments. I watched as believers developed faith, endurance, and authority through their struggles, qualities they never could have developed in comfort. This is why I sometimes delay financial breakthroughs, Jesus explained. I'm not withholding from my children, I'm investing in their growth. Then Jesus showed me something that moved me to tears, the protective side of financial struggle. He revealed how, at times, lack acts as a divine barrier, keeping believers away from relationships, opportunities, and paths that would destroy their destiny. Look closely, He said. He showed me my own life again. The business deals I couldn't afford, the relationships that ended because of financial limits, and dreams I couldn't pursue due to lack of funds. And then He showed me how every one of those missed chances was actually His mercy protecting me from ruin. What you saw as me holding back, Jesus said gently, was really me protecting you. I loved you too much to let you be destroyed by premature prosperity. Then He revealed one final truth about spiritual warfare that changed my perspective completely. He showed me how the enemy often targets believers' finances because it's one of the most effective ways to distract them from their divine assignments. The enemy knows, Jesus said, that if he can keep my children focused on survival, they'll have little energy left for their kingdom work. But watch what happens when my children learn to thrive spiritually even in lack. I saw believers who had learned to maintain joy, peace, and focus in the middle of financial storms, and the sight was breathtaking. These people carried a spiritual authority so powerful that demons trembled before them. This, Jesus said, is why I allow some of my chosen ones to go through prolonged financial testing. They're learning to be spiritually strong no matter their circumstances. Then Jesus revealed something about divine timing that made everything crystal clear. He showed me how God's timing for financial breakthrough is closely tied to spiritual maturity and divine purpose. Many of my children, He explained, aren't ready yet for the level of influence that financial abundance would bring. I'm protecting them from exposure too soon. I watched as He showed me believers who received financial blessings at exactly the right moment. Their character had been refined, their spiritual foundations solid, and their hearts fully surrendered to God's purpose. This is why I sometimes delay financial release, Jesus said. I'm waiting for my children to be spiritually ready to handle both the blessings and the responsibilities that come with abundance. As my time in this sacred realm continued, Jesus guided me to understand even deeper truths about why His chosen ones often face financial struggles. Come, He said, taking my hand gently. There are more revelations you must bring back with you. He showed me how financial limitations teach true contentment, just as Paul described in Philippians chapter 4 verses 12 to 13. I watched believers who had learned to find their joy in Christ, not in their circumstances, those who could truly say they were content whether they had plenty or very little. In your world, Jesus explained, people chase happiness through money, possessions, or status. But watch what happens when my children learn contentment in me alone. Before my eyes appeared people who radiated an unshakable peace despite empty bank accounts. Their joy wasn't based on what they had, it came from a deep connection with Christ that went far beyond material wealth. These ones have discovered a secret, Jesus said. When they find contentment in me, they find true freedom, freedom that money could never buy. Then Jesus revealed something about being out of sync with his timing, and it brought clarity to my own struggles. Many of my children are not seeing breakthrough, he said, because they're not aligned with my perfect timing. I saw believers pushing doors open frantically, networking desperately, and manipulating circumstances to make financial opportunities happen. But God had something far more beautiful planned that required patience. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 11 tells you, Jesus reminded me, I make everything beautiful in its time. Some of my children are broke, not because I'm withholding from them, but because they're running ahead of my perfect timing. He showed me how God works behind the scenes, aligning people, opportunities, and circumstances so that everything comes together at exactly the right moment, not a second too soon or too late. The waiting isn't punishment, Jesus emphasized. It's preparation for a blessing that will arrive at precisely the right time. Next, Jesus revealed another important truth, how financial struggles often expose mismanagement of God's resources. Some of my children, he said, experience lack because they haven't learned to steward what I've already given them. I watched scenes of believers who had received financial blessings in the past but wasted them through impulsive spending, failing to save, or ignoring God's guidance about giving and investing. Luke chapter 16 verse 10 contains profound wisdom, Jesus said. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. He showed me how God uses seasons of lack to reset financial habits, transform spending patterns, and develop wisdom that will be essential for handling future abundance. Then Jesus revealed something about kingdom purpose that brought everything together. He showed me believers whose callings required temporary seasons of material poverty. Watch closely, he instructed, showing men and women called to ministries, missions, or community work that didn't bring immediate financial gain. These chosen ones often ask why they struggle while following my will, Jesus explained. But these seasons are not punishment, they're preparation for greater work. I saw how these seasons of limitation forced believers to develop supernatural faith, creativity, and resilience, qualities essential for their divine assignments. Their poverty is not permanent, Jesus assured me. It is purposeful preparation for a calling that requires spiritual maturity forged in the fires of testing. Then Jesus revealed the ultimate truth about financial struggles. They serve as a crucible for spiritual refinement. 1 Peter chapter 1 verses 6 to 7 speaks of trials that refine faith more precious than gold, he said. Financial struggles often serve as that refining fire. Before my eyes, I saw believers enduring financial hardship with grace and trust. In the spiritual realm, I could see how each challenge was burning away pride, self-reliance, materialism, and worldly ambition, leaving behind purified faith of immeasurable value. This refinement is not punishment, Jesus emphasized. It is preparation for an eternal weight of glory that far surpasses any temporary financial blessing I could give. As our time together neared its end, Jesus placed his hands gently on my shoulders. Clara, he said, you must return and share these truths. My children are suffering unnecessarily because they don't understand the purpose of their financial struggles. Tears streamed down my spiritual face. Lord, I whispered, will I remember everything clearly enough? Jesus smiled warmly. I will help you recall every detail at the exact moment you need it. Tell my people that their struggles are not punishment, they are protection, preparation, and purification for purposes greater than they can imagine. With those words, I felt myself being drawn back toward my physical body. The last thing I heard before returning was Jesus saying, tell them I have not forgotten them. Their breakthrough is coming at exactly the right time. When I awoke in the recovery room, the nurses were stunned. According to medical records, I had been clinically dead for 9 minutes and 12 seconds. The doctors called my recovery miraculous, with no signs of brain damage. But I knew it wasn't just a medical miracle. I had been given a divine assignment, to share these truths about why God's chosen ones often struggle financially. This testimony isn't meant to dismiss the pain of financial hardship. It's meant to give that pain purpose. If you're struggling financially despite your faithfulness, know this: God hasn't forgotten you. He's preparing you. He's protecting you. He's purifying you for a purpose far greater than temporary prosperity. Your breakthrough is coming, not on your timetable, but on His. And when it arrives, you'll understand why the waiting was necessary. Until then, find contentment in Christ, steward faithfully what you have, trust His timing, and remember that your struggles are building eternal treasures that no thief can steal and no rust can destroy. May this testimony bring you the same peace and understanding it has brought me. Though my financial situation hasn't changed overnight, my perspective has been forever transformed. I no longer see my struggles as punishment, but as preparation for a divine purpose that will unfold in God's perfect timing.